Merry Christmas and July extravaganza. What's going on, everybody? Hey, welcome to the Rare Evening interview where we're going to talk about all things Christmas ish adjacent. We're going to talk about, I'm just going to get to it. We have Jeff Holmes on today, and he's going to be on here with us in a second. So ask your questions. This is the guy in our industry that you know him, you love him from the Expo and from his Snowball and Flurry and from Trans World Live and Trans World. He's taught classes, he's emceed. He's the one guy in our industry, in our hobby, his industry, that can answer larger questions for you than just your front yard. Ladies and gentlemen, what's up, Jeff? How you doing, buddy?
Hey everyone, this is great. I love that intro. That was fantastic. That
Yes,
was
well,
awesome.
thanks so much for taking some time and
Yeah.
coming on and saying hi to us. So, for the folks that don't know who you are, can you tell us who you are and what you do?
Yes, I'm Jeff. Kidding. Um, yeah.
Love it.
Yes, my name is Jeff. I've been in this industry for 20 years. We were talking about that before the show started. I've
Mhm.
been doing this for 20 years, which blows my mind. I didn't think I was that old. But I started as a hobbyist. I saw Carson Williams' video, back before YouTube, back when you had to send the email forwards, and it was one of two emails. It was either the "you're gonna get cursed and die if you don't send this to six of your friends,"
Oh, I
or
forgot about those.
right, or it was a e-bombs world video. And saw this video. I was 14 years old, and I went to my parents, was like, I want to do this. And fast
Yeah.
forward 20 years later, and I do production management, and design consultation for theme parks, gardens, zoos, etc. And it's been fun, and we're just getting started.
I bet it has. Let's take a quick roll call if that's right. See who all's in. See who's saying hi to you, Jeff. See, we got Monty Small. So met
Hi.
Jeff.
Oh my God. Hello.
Yes,
Yes.
you guys have already met. This is Mr. Small.
Yeah.
And then see BB's in the house. It should be fun. Yes, Jack from Colorado saying, "Hey,
Let's
let's go."
go.
Giatano here made it. I can die happy. Giatano was an undiscovered alternate. He was going to be on this year's Great Christmas Light Fight. That is no more.
Oh.
So we're gonna have a few of those on today.
Oh.
Actually,
I'm
lots of
sorry, man.
trotters. Good evening. Let's go. Gene Byers loves Christmas in July. Let's go. Willie from KC. Hey from KC. OE's turned in. What's up, OE? Monty says, "Happy anniversary, Gene." That's right. It's my wife's and I's 14th
Yes. Congrats.
anniversary, but we're gonna spend it with Jeff and
Yeah.
you, everybody.
Yeah, sorry
Just
about
like
that. To your wife, I apologize in advance. I did not
no,
schedule this.
this is all on me. This is all on me. So another light fighter here. Looking forward to loving the seventh. Okay, so you like the evenings, and then double A say Charlie made it to another live. Looking forward to it. Let's go. So you are the man for holiday attractions extraordinaire. How did you make, or what caused you to make the switch from home decorator into zoos and attractions, and what caused
Hmm.
that leap?
That's a great question. What caused that leap? I'm gonna go with God.
Great
Like,
answer.
yeah, I mean, so I did I did a little nothing show on my house, right? I mean, and it was little and it was nothing. It really was. And my pastor saw it and was like, "Hey, could you come and do this on our church office, which was on Main Street of our little know nothing town?" And I was like, "Yes, absolutely." And so I did it on the church for a couple of years. And you know, I've always been a big Disney fan. I've always been a big, I like the large spectacular. So I really would lean
Mhm.
into what I could do, which was nothing, right? You look back on this
Yeah,
stuff, and it was, when I got leaping arches, I was so excited. And leaping arches are still one of my favorite tools,
yeah.
but that's probably because of that. But yeah, eventually the church show essentially just retired after a couple of years. And
Mhm.
I I was trying to figure out what I would do with this next. And I started shopping around my skill set again, 20 years ago, my skills,
Yeah.
uh, and just absolutely failing. You have to understand, to put this in perspective, I was a junior in high school. Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay.
So like, so my sister set me up with a meeting because she had a contact with the city that she was in, sets me up with this meeting with like the head of maintenance, who basically laughs me out of the room because I was not prepared. I had little fuzzy pictures. It was bad. But I did one good thing in that meeting, which is I said, "Who sells you your Christmas tree?" And by asking that question, I discovered that there was, in fact, a Christmas tree manufacturer an hour from my house. And so I called them up and I was like, hey, I do this thing with the lights and the twinkle twinkle. Like, would you ever want to sell that to your clients? And they just happened to be working on a project that just happened to be using the same system that I was using, which was called animated lighting, which is not really even around anymore. Uh, and they just happened. I sent them a video of my work and they said, oh, we love this. Come in for an interview. How much, what's the price? How much would it cost to do this? And that turned out to be the largest Christmas tree in the world.
Oh, wow.
Which, and I should clarify, the largest musical Christmas tree in the world.
Okay.
It's down in Guatemala, and it's 145 feet tall. And at the time it was made up of 131 channels of essentially
Okay.
rows that were
Yeah.
roughly like 2 feet each, and that was it. There were like 40 controllers in this giant Connex box in the side underneath this tree. And so I turned 18 in that tree, turning on that tree for all of Guatemala. So
So
yeah, that's how I started.
let me pause you there for a second. So you're 16 and you
Yep.
say, "Hey, mom, dad, I got a job. I needed a passport. What I don't know what that is, but so you went to Guatemala to set this up?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I
Nice.
I I got that job my senior year of high school, so I actually had to take a week off of my first semester of college to fly down and
Nice.
do this. And and I was the programmer. So ironically, like I was the least of these in terms of experience, but I was the most of these in terms of I was the one who could make or break this thing. And I did not understand that responsibility or pressure at the time. I was just kind of
Okay.
doing my thing. But looking
Yeah.
back on it, I was like, wow, that could have gone so badly.
Yeah.
But it didn't. It was great, and it launched a lot. And there are some stories if you want to swing back to that project. But uh to answer the original question,
Yeah.
Chuck Smith heard
Oh
about the
yeah.
project and he wanted to do an article in Planet Christmas magazine. And then he was like, hey, I'm doing a panel at this thing called Christmas Expo. Do you want to come? And so, at the ripe old age again of like 18 and a half,
Yeah.
I end up on this panel, and the panel is myself, Brad Boink, I think Carson Williams himself, and like one other guy. And again, I'm sitting there going like, hi.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was, I held my own because I had this massive tree under my belt as my very first paid commercial project. So
That
yeah,
is
God.
that is a huge resume. What's your first job in Christmas industry? Largest musical Christmas tree in the world. That was mine. Like,
Yeah,
what a jumping in with
crazy.
both feet.
Yeah, and especially when you don't speak Spanish, it's fun.
Great. So for folks who are watching their interview, they want to open up another window and research you while we're talking. What
Sure.
social media can they find you at? Or what websites? Tell the people where to find you.
Oh, yeah, so I've made this really easy for everyone. I am Jeff Holmes Presents, all one word. Jeff Holmes, Holmes like Sherlock Holmes. Jeff Holmes Presents. And if that's hard to spell, you can also spell it presents. Same thing.
Oh yeah.
The only exception to this is TikTok, which I am Jeff Holmes dot presents. And I have no idea why, because there is a Jeff Holmes Presents, and I think it's just an old account that I don't know how to get back into. But either
Yeah,
way.
I've got those.
But yeah, that's on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and now TikTok. to your
Jeff Holmes
yep.
presence. I like it.
Yeah. It
So
goes either way
what's a
depending on your
non
accent.
do what?
Oh, just depending on your accent, it can go either way.
Ah, yeah, yeah. What's so get away from Christmas for a second. What's a fun fact the viewers who know you, people what's a fun fact people may not know about you though?
So story time with my kids is really fun because I have a very small like uh selection of voiceovers that I can do, like different
Okay.
characters. And so I will not just tell them a story, but I will come up with a voice for like every single character and
Love
try to
it.
be consistent throughout. So yeah, so I used to freelance as like a character voiceover artist just for a couple of people. I didn't advertise. You had to just kind of
Yeah,
know, and that's a lot of fun. So I've done a few. I've done a few of those, and my kids don't know what they have no idea what I'm doing. They just think it's
sure.
fun.
So if you're sitting on an airplane and you strike up a conversation with the person next to you, how do you describe to them what your occupation is?
How do I describe myself what my occupation is? Um,
Both.
Jesus,
Yeah.
these are hard questions. So this has been a struggle of mine because when I was working for a Christmas light company and trying to figure out what my next move was, I didn't know how to answer this question. This was
Okay.
really hard to answer this question. So after years of practice, I am what's called a creative producer. And my job is to lift the burden off of event managers so that way they can focus on operations while I
Hmm.
focus on the new creative project. That is fundamentally what I do.
Okay.
And that
So,
again, and that I laugh at myself because this is probably the first interview that I've ever been able to say that
hmm.
succinctly. I have got it's just so hard to explain, right? It's just so hard to explain.
It
But
kind of like
that is
when Disney came up with the Imagineer name, that
mhm.
it kind of explains it all in one word. So maybe one day we'll come up with a one word Jeff Holmes ism that describes your occupation.
Yeah, yeah, it's that's been fun. And I think the challenge is I'm working very hard to not be pigeonholed because
Okay.
when
Yeah.
when I started in Christmas, I was a Christmas programmer. That's what,
Hmm.
you were the light, I was the lighting programmer. And as that grew, it then ended up being more like show direction, where maybe I programmed, but maybe I hired an animator and worked with them to direct and make a whole little movie that ended up on the Christmas lights. And
Yeah.
then it became a thing of like, well, now we're not just handing you the song, we want you to create the whole concept, and we want you to hire the musicians, and we want you to hire the songwriters, and and bring it all together and show up
Mhm.
on the location and install it all. Hi, I'm Jeff, the light programmer. Like, it just didn't evolve properly.
Yeah.
And it didn't help when I was trying to get jobs at like, I would try to get like technician jobs at like Disney, and they'd be like, oh, you're a lighting designer. Like,
Yeah.
I don't I don't
Yeah.
think I can call myself a lighting designer because I do Christmas lights, not architectural building lighting.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I've worked very hard in the last probably 6 7 years to diversify my portfolio, which is a very fancy
Okay.
way of saying do other things. To be
Yes.
able to point to things, to point to other things that have nothing to do with Christmas lights, and or integrate so that way I can get away from the lighting programmer title and do something more global. Not to say I don't still program the stuff.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's really fun. But that's now it's more by choice than necessity.
So we got some folks asking you some questions. Carl from the Great Christmas Light Fight fame is saying, "What is E-Bomb's world video of sequencing to the Epcot?" I'm not. This question. I don't understand this question. Do you?
That's okay. I do. So
Boom.
E-Bomb's World, the video was Carson Williams when he did Wizards in Winter on his house. That was the video that got me started. I saw that video
Ah.
and I was like, that's amazing. But I I do know that there were other people who started putting things on, but he was one of the first people who put a show on the internet and became very famous for it. If you think about it, there's
Yeah.
kind of there's sort of a you can tell when people joined the hobby based on who they credit. So there's the
Oh.
Carson, right? There's the Carson Williams generation.
Mm,
Then there's the Richard Holdman generation. And now we
mm,
are in the Tom Bet George generation,
yes, I would
right?
agree. Yeah.
And then
Mm,
at some point, not to say Tom will retire, but at some point, someone will take
yeah.
that mantle. But yeah, you can definitely tell how long people have been around based on the answer to that question.
Yeah, there's a lot of debate. And we won't go down this rabbit hole, but there's a lot of debate of whether or not drones is actually the next genre of Christmas decorating. I think it's an additive more so than its own genre, but that's just me.
So I have designed a drone show,
Okay.
and it's interesting. Yeah, it is the balance of price against capability is rough. You can
Okay.
do a lot.
Fair.
You can do a lot if you have a lot of drones, but
Oh yes.
but
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
it doesn't change the fact that they are still very slow by definition. And so the current model tends to be image for as long as I think you can pay attention, and then shuffle, shuffle,
Yeah.
shuffle, 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 shuffle for like 20 seconds, image for as long as I think you'll pay attention.
Mm,
And I think there's a better way of doing that, but the technology, both from a programming perspective and a hardware perspective, makes
mm,
it difficult because it was very clearly developed by really passionate engineers. And now
yes.
the designers are coming in and going,
Mm,
hey, what if? And then there's a bit of a conflict.
yes. Yeah. Taylor
Yeah.
Swift's in her last concert, the Eras tour, said she wanted people to see something different every 20 seconds. So they were constantly moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll see here. Bill and Annette tuning in. They're listening on the drive home.
Hey, Bill. Hey, Annette.
Aaron Grimes is coming in. And we got Eddie LeBlanc tuning
I gotta
in. And
admit,
then,
some of these names I have not seen in a long time
yeah,
because I've been
okay.
I've been off the radar a little bit, but it's bringing back memories. This is wild. Hi, everybody. It's good to
Mm.
see you.
We got Brian Michaels tuning in. Want to know if we're going to the expo. I'm going to the expo. Are you going to the expo?
I'm not. No, I had a scheduling conflict a couple of years ago that never ended. So
Okay,
so
that's fair.
I'm not really able to go these days just because timing just doesn't work out for me.
Yeah, it's July is packed with that's when your family vacations, and I think
Yeah.
that the expo kind of has designed themselves to be a family vacation destination. But and then Jordan Maywall from Light Fight fame tuning in, saying, "Hey, Old English. Imagine telling the TSA nowadays your reason for going to Guatemala. I got a Christmas tree. I got a no, seriously, Christmas tree. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been post 9/11. So yeah, that kind of scrutiny.
Oh,
I think just work or pleasure, right? There's usually the question. I say I'm
yeah.
here for work. They're like, what are you here for? And the company that bought the tree was named Gaio, which they own the country essentially.
Oh,
So
okay.
Gaio beer, and I'm being dramatic to that, but Gaio beer uh sponsored and paid for all of it. And my understanding is it was like Gaio beer and Coke in Guatemala were like neck and neck. So so yeah, when you said you were working for Gaio, I think they just left you alone.
Like yeah, I'm with Gilo. So yeah,
Yes,
yeah. And
exactly.
then we're at in Guatemala.
Oh, I'm gonna mess this up so bad. I
He wants to know
Yes,
is
it
it
is Arbor Gallo. That's the tree. Yeah.
okay?
I think it was Plaza Obelisco, I think is what they call it. But again, this was literally 20 years ago.
Yes.
So I don't remember. I remember the 15 security guards with like automatic weapons that surrounded the tree during construction. That I remember very clearly. But God only knows where we were. Capital city something. I'm so sorry. I'm botching this so bad.
No, you're good. That begs the question: why do they need armed guards for a Christmas tree?
I think it was to protect the Americans.
Oh, okay, all right.
Like, I mean, I really do. I don't know why I was, this is the thing. I have no idea the politics. I don't know any of it. I just was told what I was told, which was don't walk between the hotel and the tree by yourself, only be picked up by this one van. Like, and I just followed the
Okay.
rules. Because again, understand I was 17 years old. I turned 18 in that tree.
Nice.
So
That's so cool.
I just was happy to be there.
And Ryan's tuning in, says, "Hey, what up, Ryan Will Wright?"
Oh, hey, dude.
And then Monty's saying he bets your kids love Snowball and Flurry.
Yes, they do. Yeah,
So
they
for folks who
absolutely do.
don't know what Snowball and Flurry is, tell us about it.
Sure. So Snowball and Flurry started off as funny enough a home project, and then it expanded into a portable projection or video wall animation show. So I'll tell you what it is now, and I'll tell you where we came from. But the idea is, people want to do these massive Disney spectaculars, but they can't necessarily afford the Disney style budget. And so this is a show that is ready to go. It is either done on a projection within projected material, or it's done with video wall components. And I bring the castle. I bring the castle with me as a cutout backdrop in 3D, 2D. There's options, and then there's a bunch of special effects around it: snow, bubbles. You can go as far as like flame and sparks and pyro and all sorts of stuff if you have the budget for it. But it's all wrapped around these two characters, Snowball and Flurry, and an actual storyline about this snow child, Snowball's attempt at kind of coming of age. Right, he's given a task. He's told that he has to decorate the whole palace for the coming of the prince, which, if you're religious, can kind of relates into Jesus, and if you're not religious, it's just any other prince. And so, being that he's been tasked by the king to do this, he really has kind of puffed up pride and wants to prove himself, and inevitably he just keeps failing. He keeps failing and failing. He tries to decorate, and he ends up burning out all the lights, and he tries again, and he floods the whole castle. And so the story is this experience of learning that your true magic and your true support system comes from family, not from inner pride, which he learns through the help of his sister, who keeps trying to help him in this process, and he keeps rejecting her, and finally, when all is lost, he finally turns to the one person who's always been there for him, which is his sister, and they're able to bring it all to life, and it's great. uh it's a really fun show, and it's gone through many evolutions. It started as a charity project. I had a neighbor who was terminally ill and needed a heart and lung transplant. And so this was designed to be an outreach that, encouraged
Oh,
people to donate. And so we did it. We did it on my house at the time. There was no castle. It was just, with a tiny little BenQ projector and some effects. And then over the years, it's evolved into this portable show that now is seen in multiple locations, and we do territory rights. So if you rent it, no other venue
ooh,
can rent it for 90 miles around you. And I think to date, the most recent version of the show has been seen by about 500,000 people, and is
nice.
on track to do 1 million this year. So it's pretty fun. It's really exciting.
So you've worked in some large locations, botanical gardens, zoos, large scale attractions. You do haunts. What did all that experience, Guatemala included, bring to the education you needed to create the story for Snowball and Flurry?
it's it was the slices. It was the
Okay.
slices of knowledge that came from different things. So, Snowball and Flurry is very much a culmination of a lot of things that I have learned, from lighting programming to concert style lighting, special effects systems that are straight out of Haunt, you know, uh,
Yeah.
learning how to source and import my own Chinese materials. Just as an example, there's really not a good bubble machine that I can find in the States. And
Okay.
I didn't want I didn't want just like bubbles. Like, I wanted bubbles, all
Yeah.
the bubbles. And I wish I had a video to show you, but my dude, I have bubbles. Like
All right.
it is we go through so much bubble juice. These things are incredible, but I had to go overseas and learn that learn that system of how to find, how to quality control, how to do all that.
Okay.
But then, you know, the working for I worked for a company called S4 Lights, and they gave me the opportunity to actually produce music for the first time. And
Nice.
so hiring a composer, hiring an orchestra, hiring singers, putting all that together, Snowball and Flurry is a completely original soundtrack. And that's
Wow.
because of those lessons. And then, same thing with like animation. I am not an animator, but learning how
Yeah.
to communicate with animators, how to express the vision, modify, edit the vision, uh, and then projection mapping was something that I was like, that looks like fun. Like I want to try
Yeah.
that. Y'all remember the light fight guy with the talking house? Like I thought that was
Oh yeah.
amazing. And and so there was an interest there. And so you slice all these things, right? You go, music production comes from this project, and projection mapping came from this project, and Halloween came from this, or Halloween effects came from this project. And so all those things, when it comes down to making
Mhm.
this show, it all sums together. And now the show is 10 times as awesome as it was the first year we did it.
So you could have easily shortened the creative process by borrowing characters or kind of tweaking other characters that already exist. Why was it important to you to come up with new and unique characters for the storyline?
So there's that lesson. Licensing. So so in the hobby, in the hobby, it's not that we shouldn't worry, we just don't care. Right? Let's be
Yeah.
honest. We don't care. Um but but when, for example, I licensed a song for a project from Disney. It took a year.
Ooh.
It took a year to license this one song from Disney. And I I work adjacently with clients who license Rudolph. And I've actually had
Mm-hmm.
conversations with the guy who will license you Rudolph. And it
Mm-hmm.
is expensive, and it is territorial, and it is very specific. So
Okay.
you say, why didn't you borrow characters? This was easier.
Yes. Sounds
It
it.
was easier to design, voiceover, script, cast, and animate. It was easier and less expensive than trying to go find a character that they would give you the rights to, and then scrutinize every little thing that you were going to do, which they should, right? If you want to license my characters, I'm going to scrutinize it too. Like, I don't want you putting my
Yeah.
characters in a compromising position. I don't want, there's a lot
Sure.
of things. So I understand it, but that's where it came from, was the lessons learned of, I had a client, can't name who they are, but I had a client who said, we'd really like the Grinch to climb up the Christmas tree and like break it as part of the show. Not Snowball Flurry, different show.
Yeah.
And I had to tell them, this very high profile person. I was like, I'm really sorry, we cannot do that because the Grinch is a licensed character and they're one of my clients, right? Like, indirectly, I was like, I really can't do this. And they said, oh, no, no, no. We don't want the Grinch. We just want a Grinch. I was like, ma'am, that is not how that works.
Yeah.
This is, so yeah, that's it's a real thing, and you can absolutely be sued, and you will be sued if it's worth suing you.
Yes. Yes. You're like, yeah, I know who this person is, and they have money. We will sue you. Have you taken Snowball and Flurry out? Carlton says he saw it at SoCal Mini.
Yes, yes. I did a bit of a trade show tour where I had it at Transworld on the East Coast, SoCal Mini. I think there was another one. I can't recall. We've done a few now. But yes. And that was an early prototype, funny enough, at SoCal, wanting to get
Ooh,
feedback from our
okay.
community. So I've tightened it up since then, which I'm really happy about.
So are you still doing any vendor hall stage entertainment classes for Transworld?
Yes, so I'm actually the director of education for Transworld Christmas.
Nice.
It's a volunteer role.
Okay.
It sounds more bougie than it is, right? But but my job, I started last year, and my or not last year. I started for this previous Trans World, the one we did in March,
Yeah, yeah.
and my job was to go in and evaluate all of the classes that have been done in the past, look at all of the valuations, and really talk to attendees to see what kinds of classes they
Hmm.
wanted and what kinds of buyers that they were. And so yeah, we did a pretty big upheaval this last year just in the types of classes and in some cases the types of teachers. I
Hmm.
pulled in I pulled in people that have never taught there before from like Silver Dollar City and like
Nice.
some of the large project like the large drive-throughs like chat in Chattanooga and just some fairly impressive names. I was very impressed with myself because I got to call these people. We're like, "Do you want to come teach?" And they're like, "Sure." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Yay!" you know. But yeah, so it's been fun. I took myself off the teaching roster last year just because I
Hmm.
wanted to be ready to put out any fires. And then there were
Yeah.
no and there were fires I had to put out. But yeah, that's I've really enjoyed doing that.
We've had, have a few more others tuning in. We got Carl Fadala coming in, Mr. Pixel Light himself. Devin from DB Productions,
Hey.
Alpha Harbor. Carl again. And Bill and Annette are wanting to know, other than the tallest Christmas tree, what's been your largest project or show?
Ooh. All right, so let's define large, right? Because I think
Sure.
that would be the question. You know, I would say the largest project in terms of pixel count
Mm-hmm.
would be and I'm actually going to split this. From a Christmas tree perspective, the largest in terms of pixel count is the Christmas tree at Silver Dollar City. And this is a 70-foot Christmas tree that has 2,000 universes of pixels. So what is that? 170 times 2,000. Someone do the math. It's like 368,000 pixels.
All right.
Some like massive number. Uh to the tune that like a software like Xlights or FPP or Lightorama was like not going to handle this. So there's a very high-end media server running that show. And what was amazing about that is I had been doing Christmas tree shows for S4 for a while. This was a Pixel Pine, which is their brand of Christmas tree, and it was the first time we were able to do 3D, not like the glasses, but like
Yeah.
something that was more than a flat South Park style animation. It was the first time we were able to do
Yeah.
3D, and it was the first time we were able to do shadows. So there was scenes where these 3D traditional bell choir bells were like flinging at you, and
Okay.
then like another scene where you would have this ribbon that was floating over the Christmas tree as it came down and then landed. But all of that's just animation, and it's the shading, the ability to have that shadow between the tree and the ribbon to give
Mm-hmm.
that illusion. And we had never done a Christmas tree that had high enough resolution to do that kind of thing. And the irony was that it was being put in a park that prides itself on being this timeless, like circa 1800s
Yeah.
Ozark feel.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole mission was to take the single most highly technologically advanced Christmas tree in the world and
Yeah.
make it fit into who's that famous guy who does all the Christmas cards?
Oh,
Uh you know what I'm talking about.
I
What is his name?
Rockwell,
Rock,
Norman Rockwell.
Norman Rockwell.
Yeah.
That was the assignment from the head of the president of the park was like, this needs to look like a more Norman Rockwell Christmas card. And I was like, okay. So
Mm-hmm.
it was very much right in line with Disney of an Imagineering of making it just seamless so it feels like magic and hiding the technology. But it was some of the coolest animation we could do.
Robert agrees with you. He's seen it and says the Silver Dollar City tree is life changing. Very impressive.
It is very life changing. And a fun fact about working on these projects is when you walk through a theme park in the middle of the night, it's a
Mm-hmm.
very different experience. The park is
It is.
completely empty. But what they don't tell you is that right around 5 a.m., 4:30 a.m., there is this army of leaf blowers.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
even joking. And they don't tell you. So when you're out there at 4 in the morning working on your tree, and you suddenly hear from the distance like and bum ba da bum 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 and they like and I luckily I used to travel with this tent that would insulate me from heat and or cool and rain
Okay.
really for my equipment. They don't
Oh,
care. They do not care.
yeah.
They just went right through, and the wind's blowing around, and there's these shadows, and you're like, "What is going on?" And it was the leaf blower brigade, and that they keep the
Okay.
park clean.
Were they walking at you in slow motion?
It felt well, because understand, there's no one to call, right? There's nowhere to
Yeah.
call. There's no way to escape. I felt like Simba, right during the stampede. I didn't know what was going on, so I just kind of had to hold on and pray. Never been to Branson before. I didn't know if it was a hurricane or a tornado or what it was.
Well, I love Silver Dollar City's Marble Cave. It's a
Mm-hmm.
legit cave. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're gonna have to look that one up. That's a lot of pixels. This is Bill from
it's a
Light
lot of
Fight fame.
pixels.
He won an episode last year.
Congratulations.
Said he's getting out of the heat and going to sit in at home, loving the interview.
Thank you. I'm glad to
And
be
then
here.
for the Guatemala tree, it's over 140 feet. It says Gallo is probably the most popular brand out there.
Yeah, that tracks. And it has
And
a
it has on the
giant
map.
15, it's got a 15-foot rooster on top
Okay.
because that's Gaio, right?
Yeah, it'd be silly to have a 10-foot rooster up there. You got to do a 15-foot route.
15-foot route. Yep. And it's massive and you can see it everywhere. What they don't tell you about that tree is that there are 50 others that are only 50 feet tall throughout the entire country doing a pared down version of the show. It might be even more now, but at the time it was 50.
So you've done all these attractions, and you've worked with different people who have different expectations of what you can do. Like for the Grinch, for example, what is something you learned about people who hire you that maybe we can educate them for future shows now? So maybe you say, hey, I can't do the Grinch. That was a great education piece. So all the people who have
Start
hired you, what have you
early.
learned? Is it, what's a common theme? They ask you to do something that you just physically or legally can't do.
Don't call me in August.
Yeah, I
No,
love
I'm
that.
serious. I mean, that's
Yeah, I
that's
get
what
it.
it is. If I mean, I love him because he hired me, but I had a guy call me and want to do Snowball in Flurry. He wanted to open it 3 weeks from the day he called me. And
Okay.
I was like, thank God. This is one of the reasons Snowball exists, but please don't do this to me. But like, it exists. All I had to do was go around and hit buy for all this equipment and then show up and it's done. Right. It was much, much easier. But yeah, I think July is when a lot of
Mm,
clients will start to think about Christmas, and that is it's a challenging time because everyone is starting to think about Christmas at that point.
yeah.
Uh, and so, and the timeline, like the timeline to do something truly custom and truly spectacular is very rough. If you
Mhm.
take a leaf of knowledge from the larger entities, some of them are making their purchasing decisions in December of the previous year or
Yeah.
January. And, and if that's unreasonable, which for some it is,
Mhm.
having the life cycle of a project is typically a year and a half from like first conversation
Mhm.
to opening night, which means that you are committing your budget and booking, you know, depending on when your fiscal budget is, you're booking this stuff and committing people January, February, March.
Yeah.
Uh, and the more crazy the project is, the more absolutely necessary that is.
Has there
Uh,
been a project that taught you more about it after it was completed than the design process or installation process? Like you thought of everything, you get it done, you're sitting there, you're looking at it. Could be at 4:30 in the morning with an army of leaf blowers coming at you in slow motion with some explosions behind them. But has there been a project that you're like, ah, has there been any weird
Ah,
light bulb moments that caught you off guard after a project was done?
any light bulb moments that caught me after a project was done? Hmm.
I'm just throwing some easy snowball questions at you.
No, you
Just throwing
really
them
are
in.
not. Thank you. Snowball questions. I appreciate that. Well, I can think of a couple, but
Mm-hmm.
in ironically the most I think the most recent and very much in my face one is Snowball as a projection show. The maintenance is a bit of a challenge. We
Okay.
I to the options are spend like $100,000 on a really powerful projector or spend a few $1,000s multiple times over on like a bunch of smaller projectors. And so I had a venue that had 3 projectors and I had a venue that had 2 projectors. And I had invested in this camera system that would auto align them. So that way, once you did the warping, it was just acting like one big screen. Because if you've ever tried to manually align projectors vertically and horizontally,
Yeah.
that is extremely hard. And I know this because I did this at Transworld with 4 projectors. And then the next day, someone had moved the truss like an inch and ruined everything.
Yeah.
So I was like, I need a way to do this because I'm not going to be sitting there all night and every day. So that was a problem I discovered because I should have realized that there was going to be a weekly cadence of recalibration of, hey, a guest threw a donut and it moved the projector a centimeter, or hey, an employee was walking where they shouldn't have been and they
Mm-hmm.
tripped on something and it tugged, just a smidge. So
Yeah.
that was definitely a lesson because instead of having dinner with my family, I'd be on the phone remotely recalibrating this stuff, which
Mm-hmm.
is where the video wall version of this show came from. Because I was like, there's
Okay.
got to be a way, and that's the balance. It's like the projection version is cheaper because of the material and the hardware that you're using, but it requires more weekly maintenance versus the video wall is both daytime visible and requires no mapping, but it is multiples times more expensive because of what it physically is. So that was a big one, And I
So,
think that's the big difference between I think commercial and hobby is hobby gets
mm,
to experiment because you just get to walk out the door in your pajamas and you know put up duct tape, zip tie or otherwise. And then the
yeah.
commercial side of things, once we leave, unless you are the designated paid for maintenance person, like once you're gone, you're gone. And you do
Mm-hmm.
not want that to fail because if it fails, that means most likely a plane flight in the middle of December back to that venue, which is
Yeah.
both money and time and exhaustion.
So I get your newsletter, and if memory serves, correct me if I'm gone. I believe you talked about that in the one you titled "How I Felt at Trans World Last Year," and you go into a little bit of that story about that. So
Yeah.
everybody watching, how can they join your newsletter?
Oh, that's on LinkedIn. So if you
Okay.
if you follow me on LinkedIn, it posts every Tuesday, and there's the topics are many. I've got a whole backlog of topics that we're gonna hit on. But yeah, it's just that simple. Just follow on LinkedIn and check in on Tuesdays.
So I told you, I warned you ahead of time. I can go off on tangents, and I apologize. We're getting deep in this interview. We have not talked about haunts. We have not talked about your. Let's just talk about it right now. Talk to us about your music drive-through thing. Could you tell us about
Sure.
this?
Okay. So it was like the first year of me being on my own. I had left S4. I was working with a couple of guys. We were building up a company, and uh, there was an opportunity. Someone wanted to do a tram ride drive through
Mm-hmm.
because the numbers absolutely agree with this, but you can fit more people on a tram. You can charge per person. Like the ROI is way better
Yeah, yeah.
than drive-thrus. And for me, the thing that I have always hated about drive-thrus is they feel like it's a small world. It's the same song no matter where you are. And it's, if there's traffic, it's 20 minutes. If there's not traffic, we drive a lot faster. So it ends up being like 7 minutes. And from a programming perspective, with that many things, it is inevitable that at a certain point you're going to go copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. And it's just, and so there's this degradation of
Yeah.
quality. And frankly, because there's nothing you can do about it. Like there's no legal way to do anything else. There's a couple of janky technologies out there that can kind of do it, but I wanted to do something better, and so I was working with I called a friend from college, and I was like, "Hey, this is crazy, but you're a programmer.
Mhm.
Let me pitch you something." And he had just started getting into Falcon Pi Player, and he had just started
Mhm.
getting into Christmas light programming, so he was hooked. And thank God he was hooked, because what Drive Through Dark Ride does is it synchronizes audio based on where the tram or trolley or train or any kind of wheeled
Mhm.
operated vehicle, it
Mhm.
syncs the music based on where you are in the show. And this is the important part,
Mhm.
it syncs it with the lights. So rather than, a GPS audio tour where it's like, okay, different
Yeah.
music plays depending on where you are, you cut your show up into, say, 5, 6, 7, 9 scenes, and you put a Raspberry Pi or whatever show player you're running
Mhm.
on every scene. That tram, that train, that trolley will change the song it's playing to align itself with the scene you are currently in front of. And then you can program that and be fully synchronized. So you maintain the benefit of a fully synchronized show, but you now are more like Pirates of the Caribbean as opposed to It's a Small World.
Yeah.
And it completely revolutionizes the fact that you can tell a story, you can go through in a journey, you can go on an adventure, and still maintain that tight synchronicity. And it's not even just lights. Like, you can do it with special effects, you can do it with video, you can do it with animatronics. The technology doesn't care. It's just keeping
Yeah.
everything in sync and letting you go wild.
So for those that don't know, so I put up your LinkedIn in the comments here. Let's see if I
Well,
can
thank
do this
you.
as a banner here real quick. Boom. So who's just asking? Oh, that's what to know if they don't have LinkedIn. Is there another way to get your newsletter?
I don't know.
Fair enough.
I haven't been asked that before, but I'll find out.
Fair
I
enough.
will find out.
I think if you just go to it, I think you can get it. I think you can. Um,
Yeah, because my LinkedIn is public, so you
yes.
shouldn't.
Yeah.
I would say to AA-HO5MG, try the link and
Yeah.
let us know, because I genuinely have no idea.
Fair enough. So what it sounds like, to go back, is it sounds like you've revolutionized. So yeah, like you've talked about some that are they're GPS. So I think Tune Two does that. I think that's Mike Simmons has one. I think it's called Tune Two, but his is exactly like that. It doesn't sync up to the lights. It syncs up to where you're at. Geofence inside of a drive-through display. But yours goes that extra step to where you're on a tour bus, you're on a train car, you're on a tram, whatever. But every 5, 7, or 9 scenes that you get a new show while you're there, and it
Yeah.
sounds immersive.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And Michael's actually a friend,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm very familiar with his product. And I will say one slight adjustment into how you were phrasing it.
Yeah.
What Tune 2 does is synchronize your audio over cellular,
Mm, that's
eliminating
right.
the need for radio.
That's right.
That's the and there are other auxiliary benefits, but at its core, that's what you're doing. So it is still one giant show. He's not doing zones. He's not,
Yeah.
but for a traditional drive-through that wants higher audio quality or wants some of the other features, some of the features that are there, it's great. He can also do drive-throughs because it's an app. But for
Mm-hmm.
me, I need I need someone to give me a capital injection to shrink my tablet into something smaller.
Mm-hmm.
so so there's a lot of my clients rejected the idea of an app because they were worried it would be too convoluted and challenging to get the
Yeah.
user to figure it out. And so one of the for us, because our system is a hardware system, it is you train your people, you train your operators, as opposed to having to train a few hundred people every single night. And
Yeah.
but fundamentally, the main differences are he is doing one zone. It's still one show. It's just a replacement for radio. And then
Mm-hmm.
what we're doing is, funny enough, not a lot of the metrics and like metric calculations and data gathering that he's doing, but instead we're focused on this scene is synchronized, this scene is synchronized, this scene is synchronized, and more importantly, you can have three trams in three different scenes, all hearing different music synchronized in that section. You're not just limited to one at a time.
Oh,
So yeah,
geez.
we're it's pretty fun. And I'll say to the
Yeah.
programmers in the audience, you know, the for me as a programmer, the benefit that I enjoy is I can focus on just the props in that scene,
Oh,
right?
nice.
And
Good
that's
point.
really helpful. So, as just a case study, right? If I have Candy Cane Lane and we're using Candy Cane Lane by Sia,
Mm-hmm.
that song is very repetitive. So
Yeah.
I can program 45 seconds of the chorus and only program it on those candy canes. So it's top notch and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not getting burnt out. I'm not getting tired. And then we can just loop that 45 seconds over and over and over and over, and no one's going to know or care, because when the tram comes in, it could take 90 seconds to go through that scene, but it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's just gonna loop. A lot
Yeah.
like, again, this is how Pirates works. This is how Little Mermaid works. This is how all the dark
Mm-hmm.
rides in the theme parks essentially work. And then when you switch between scenes, there's that little voice that tells you the story, whether it's Sebastian or one of the pirates, and then you move on to the next scene.
That's a good segue. Let me ask you this: you are great at storytelling and
Mm,
your everything
thank
you do.
you.
Snowball Flurry. Um,
Appreciate that.
what was well, sure. But what was the moment in your career where you're like, it's not about adding a million lights. It's not about cramming all the props I can into this amusement park area. It's about the story that the people are going to leave with. That is more of a home run for them, if that makes sense. Was there a point in
What
your
was
career where
the
that just clicked?
was there a point in my career when that clicked? I
Or was it just
have
a natural segue?
It probably was earlier than that. It probably was earlier. The hmm. I think I think initially I just wanted to just do better.
Okay.
I think I got bored. you know,
Okay. Yeah.
it's double-sided, right? The traditional model was always pick two or three or four or five songs, put them together, and voila.
Yeah.
And even the early projects, the order in which the song was put mattered to me, because
Yeah.
I came up, and I don't know where this came from, to be quite honest.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say Disney, because I in college I spent, I think, in 2 years I went to Disneyland 52 times. So every other
Okay.
weekend for 2 years.
All
Because I
right.
was I was like 45 minutes away in college, and so that's what I did. And I remember both with the Guatemala project, and I remember with all the projects before I was allowed to do actual stories. The best that I could offer was, I'm going to pick the songs based on the emotional cadence that you want. And so it wasn't so much about needing like a here's little Johnny, and Johnny has a mission. Like, it wasn't about that.
Yeah.
It was just, can I take you on an emotional journey? And one of the very first classes that I taught at Christmas Expo was the ease of emotion, where you would mark out in the show where you wanted people to feel emotions, and whether you wanted them to feel excited or empathetic or
Hmm.
passionate or nostalgic, and you would ping pong these polar opposite emotions, and you could create better shows with just 3 or 4 songs. And then that kind of just kept evolving
Yeah.
because then you were telling stories with animation, right? Pixels suddenly came and like, oh, now I can actually have a little wisp of a character, or now I can have Santa waving at you. And it just kind of, it kept growing.
Hmm.
And I mean, I'm not inventing anything. You go look at any major parade, spectacular, the big theme parks have been doing this for years. I think
Yeah.
what I just did was I just took the inspiration and made it tangible and bite-sized for our level,
Yeah.
wherever level I happen to be on at the time.
So for the folks that are watching this and will watch it later, that are, they're on the city council or they're the CEO or CFO of the company, and they're like, hey, we need to get Jeff involved for our next project.
I would love
He
that.
just told us to call him in December of the year before we want him. Where can they reach you
I would say call me now, honestly.
at?
I have 2027 projects already booked.
Okay.
So I would say, if you want to have that conversation, call me now. And honestly, I'll give you my cell phone, like dangerous last words, right? Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, you can email me. My email is jeff.holmes@hey.com, which is hey.com. Uh, and that's the fastest way. And then yeah, I you can put my phone number in the ticker. That's fine.
Oh,
It is
I won't go quite that far, but yeah.
all right. Email me. Email me.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
fine.
Let's do the email. We don't need it. We don't need. How did you first start stalking Jeff? Well, I saw his phone number on the internet and Charlie somebody. Like, yeah, maybe we don't do that.
Fair. You know what I can do though, if someone is like, I need to talk, like I actually
Yeah.
need to have a phone call and it needs to be right now. Snowball and Flurry has a company number that I could give you, and that's probably one of the cleanest options. So give me one
Okay.
second to pull that up.
Sure.
It
Let's
will
see
go
here.
to me, but if you stalk me, I can at least delete you. No.
There you go.
All right, give me one second. Uh, all right, so the number for Snowball and Flurry is 864-514-8853. Again, 864-514-8853. And sometimes you'll get me, and whoever picks up, you can say, "Hey, can I talk to Jeff, please?" They'll patch you over.
Boom, right there. If you want Jeff's phone number and you're not a stalker, but you want to hire him for Snowball and Flurry, now's the time. And also pay attention to Jeff on Instagram, on LinkedIn. I do, and you do some cool stuff. You're like, hey,
Thank you.
uh, there's a lot of it's about storytelling, which I personally think we all start out the same way. We just throw everything in our yard and turn it on, and like, oh,
Of
that's awesome
course.
because it's bright and it's twinkly, and our neighbors are patting us on the back. But the storytelling, I think, is the missing piece to bring the industry up to the next level, and I think you're
Yeah.
rocking that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's there's some fun stuff in the horizon, so I'll definitely, when I'm allowed to share it, I will.
Let's catch up with some last quick comments here. People are asking you some questions. I've never had this question asked, and he's asking you marionettes and animated figures. Do you know of any companies that sell those? I've never been asked about
Yeah,
marionettes before.
I do actually. Yes, if you're thinking like the classic like Macy's window kind of style, Mr. Kringle, mrkringle.com.
Okay.
Funny enough, you're not going to see it on there. You would have to just know. So,
It's like
what I'm
ordering
going
off the
to
menu.
yeah, it's kind of off menu right now. Um yeah, so would email info@mrkringle.com and tell them I sent you and ask about the figures and marionettes and see. But yeah, that would be
Love
the
it.
best place, I think.
And he was able to get your newsletter and read your articles without having to join.
Cool. Oh, that's great. I'm gonna start
And
telling
Deep is
other people to
saying
do that.
drive-throughs are up and coming, just not in their area. So that brings up a great question. They're not everywhere. Are drive-throughs the next orientation? Like I'm in Wichita, Kansas. We have one drive-through that's been going on for 20 years, and it just shut down last year. It went
Yeah.
dark. Is that the next orientation you think will go big as far as attractions and drive-throughs?
Uh, I know that I've seen multiple private equity firms pick up drive-through companies.
Okay.
So I think there is someone smarter than me who thinks so. But it's interesting because there's companies that I would discover and like they have like 25 or 30 drive-throughs across the country. And I was like,
Nice.
I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know you were at that scale, which is incredible.
Huh.
But I don't know yet. I think there's twofold. I think we are coming off of a long COVID high where COVID was the only way to kind of get that entertainment. I
Yeah.
think I think that your weather geography has a lot to say about your
Yeah.
success on this. Because some venues it's just better, you don't want to go outside or you're not used to going outside. But then I think drive-throughs need to step up. I think the reason you're starting to see them close is because post-COVID, the desire and expectation for entertainment is higher.
Okay.
And I think you have people in two camps. You have people who are super traditional and they like the nostalgia, so they want to see the warm white wire frames and the peaceful Christmas music. And then I think you
Yeah.
have the next generation coming up that wants more interactivity, wants more personalization, wants to be the star of the story. And drive-throughs in their current form have a very, very difficult time of doing that.
So let me ask you this for a last question.
Sure.
When someone sees Snowball and Flurry, when someone goes through your drive-through displays, when someone goes to one of your haunts, what what emotion are you wanting them to take away from the story, any story that you create? What are you wanting them to leave thinking? Are you wanting them to leave saying that was amazing? You want them to leave saying, I guess I'm just stumbling through my words here, but I think you kind of know where I'm asking this question.
I do. And the answer, funny enough, is not what you think it is.
Okay.
It's e- those examples are all very different projects.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more about what I don't want you to feel, which is I don't want you to feel bored,
Love
and
it.
I don't want you to feel apathetic. If I can
Mm-hmm.
get you to feel anything, that's a win. because we
Nice.
are because basically if you really think about what I'm supposed to do, what my actual job is my goal is to get you off of the little screen so you can look at the big picture, or get you at least to put that little screen up so you film the big picture, which
Mm-hmm.
depending on which department you're from are the two goals. uh, but at the end of the day, apathy and boredom are the biggest killer of and
Yeah.
the biggest difference between how was it? It was all right versus that was incredible. You just have to
Mm-hmm.
feel something. For a haunt, you want to feel the fear. For a nostalgic Christmas event, you want to feel the family love.
Mm-hmm.
For an epic fireworks spectacular, you want to feel in some cases patriotic, and in other cases just
Yeah.
rah rah. But like if you don't feel, that's the worst. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where you have failed, is when you've just kind of become more noise.
Okay. That's a great answer. I love that answer. I didn't know what I was going to get out of that, but I think that was a beautiful way to say it.
Thank you.
That's great. So, is there anything I didn't ask you today, or anything you do all these interviews? Is there anything no one's ever asked you? Like, I wish someone would finally ask me this question. Anything like that before we go?
Not you did you hit a lot of them. Honestly,
Okay.
I was pleasantly surprised with with the curveball questions. It really got me thinking. I
Okay,
haven't
cool.
I haven't done a walk down memory lane like this in a while, so I appreciate that.
And let's be honest, we talked about this earlier. You go off on tangents, I go off on tangents. We stayed on track today. Look at us.
Yes. Well, and I would equate that to your hosting. I obviously you prep me a little bit of just like what this is, but at the end of the day, the questions are at least for me off the cuff. For you, I think they're probably a little more planned. But yeah,
Yes.
they were solid, and I appreciate that. And your
Well,
audience is extremely responsive. That was
yeah.
really incredible. They're
Yeah, we
really
got a lot of
engaged
light
all the
fighters, a lot
time.
of hobbyists, a lot of well, we have some people from overseas. I didn't see anybody from New Zealand in today. We have a lot of people from New Zealand usually today. But Jeff, I'm gonna let you go. Stick around for a second, and then I'm gonna let
All right.
everybody else here go, and we'll be right back with you. Jeff, thanks so much for your time here today. We're going to get out here. We'll be the next week's guest. We have our Monty Small coming up. Monty was in the chat earlier today. Monty's going to teach us about how to create your own silhouettes in your own show. That will be
Cool.
coming up this Saturday. We have a how to add that one missing bald peak. We got a video coming out for you guys. But Merry Christmas and July extravaganza. I'm Charlie. He's Jeff. We'll see you.